Boys, today I'm going to share with you how I balance med school, my part-time job, going to the gym, content creation, all that good stuff. I know at times balancing everything is a lot. We're supposed to be working a job or doing our uni or high school stuff, and then a side hustle, and then working on our physical and mental health, and then balancing some sort of a social life on top of it all. It can be really overwhelming at times, and I've managed to learn some things that has allowed me to survive 5 years of medical school so far. Touch wood. One more year to go before I graduate, but I'm actually taking this year out, so I get a bit more time to focus on content. But yeah, let's get started. So who am I? I've done 5 years of medical school so far, one more year to go. I've been trying to stay consistent at the gym. I've made content for myself and others in order to help supplement all this. These are just some of my case studies. You got a startup that I grew, Money Hub NZ, to 34K on TikTok. Worked for the uni a bit, grew my dad's YouTube videos channel to over 5,000 subscribers, more than me. A few other case studies here, but that's not the point of this video. This kind of just supplements it all. So I've been trying to balance this on top of everything as well, which has been challenging at times. But I'm going to share with you some actionable tips that I've used for myself that has helped me pull it off. And yeah, hopefully you can attain your version of this, and I'm sure you have your own unique tips and tricks that probably help you be efficient as well. So what I try to do, I try to sprint and then I try to rest for a lot of things. So it's like 100% output then zero, or probably more like 80% output than 20. And I try to think of it as I have several domains. For example, I have finances, I have my academics, my grades, my career. Then I have gym and health, and I have relationships, I have content, all those different areas. And sprinting is, for me, I try to focus on one of these specific domains for a period of time. For example, 4 weeks for exam season, say, and then everything else, all these other domains, are left on maintenance. I'm trying to just grow in the academic aspect, and everything else is on maintenance. It's a lot easier to maintain things than grow and really achieve something, I believe. So if exam season, say, good example, 4 weeks or 6 weeks complete focus on academic. Gym is on maintenance. Maybe I only gym for 2 to 3 times a week. Content is on maintenance. Sometimes I don't even make any pieces of content. I've been inconsistent lately. And then after that 4 to 6 week period, in high school I'd take like a week break before studying for my next exam, but in med school we didn't really have that luxury, and it's only like a couple days break before moving on to the next thing. And sometimes during the break I just shift focus but maintain intensity. So instead of focusing on academics, I'd focus on the gym, and that has been refreshing because my focus has shifted, and therefore it feels different. It doesn't feel like a drag anymore. And to maintain the sprint type lifestyle, I rest. So chill. I don't sprint all the time. I think people like to be a bright light bulb. People like to be a dimly lit light bulb because they don't trust that they can like rest and regarner that energy to shine bright again. But then if you trust that if you shine bright, burn bright, and rest completely to regain the energy, you can pull it off. So that's what I try to do. I sprint and rest. And resting to me looks like laying down on my bed. I try to just close my eyes and not do anything. But however, I'm just human too. Sometimes I scroll on TikTok, watch YouTube videos, and TV shows as well. And I try to sprint and rest both on the macro and micro. For example, macro might look like 4 weeks studying really hard and 2 days off. And then micro might look like 50 minutes studying, 15 to 20 minutes break. And then do that twice and then take a 2-hour break or something like that to eat lunch. So sprint and rest. That's what I try to do. And here you can see how I sprinted with my physique. These 2 photos were taken only 53 days apart. Obviously, one I'm flexing and one, and I had a pump in the right photo, and I had downlighting left photo didn't really have that, so it's a bit unfair. But you can see that within 53 days, if you sprint, you can pull something like this off. Connections and resources. I've learned that connections and resources are very, very important. So if someone has attained something that I want to attain, I try to ask for help. And if there's a discrepancy of value, for example, if that person can help me significantly, but I can't really give him anything of value, I try to offer cash to fill that gap of discrepancy of value. So sometimes I'd ask someone, hey, can I sit down with you for 1 hour? I'm willing to pay you $100 for the hour of your time to learn about this skill. Do you offer coaching services? Often they'd help me for free, and they really appreciate the fact that I offered my money, because it shows that I respect their time. Often they'd also say, oh, I charge $80 for a consultancy hour. So sometimes I do that. And I think that's one of the best uses of money, just paying for knowledge. An example where a connection has paid off was in medical school. My first ever run in hospital, I met a junior doctor, and he had flashcards, electronic flashcards on a software called Anki. So he had an Anki deck. And I asked him if I could have his Anki deck because it doesn't cost him anything. And he was more than happy to give it to me. And that resource has helped me significantly in medical school. So yeah, knowing the right person and that person giving you just the right resource can help you significantly. So yeah, I try to add value to people first. For example, that doctor, I was trying to help around the wards with no expectation of anything in return, really. But it just so happened that he gave me an Anki deck. I've also noticed that the more value I add to people, the more I receive. So if you increase your own value, the more returns you'll see as well. Next thing I do, I try to consume content, and I try to consume the right content, because the wrong content could really set you back as well. So what is the right content? So generally for me, I try to consume someone who has attained what I want to attain, or the things they recommend you consume. For example, Tim Ferriss. Say Tim Ferriss has the best podcasts. I'd listen to what he recommends and also the books he recommends. Also, I consumed self-help for a very long period of time. Between second and third year, I consumed a ton of self-help, generic self-help content. And then I got a bit bored of generic self-help content because the messages were repeating over and over again. Then I started consuming more specific knowledge about a specific topic, and it's more actionable. For example, the book Expert Secrets by Russell Brunson teaches the expert business model and how you can make a ton of money from that, and how you should think about filling the gap between where they currently are in their dream state, and how there's different vehicles. And amazing book. It's very specific though, and I learned a lot from getting specific knowledge and when it applies to the current point in my life. So there's context behind learning the information, so I tend to memorize it better when there's context, when there's a need to solve a problem in my life at that current point in time. Also, I try to I used to do it for free by getting audiobooks from Libby, which is a place where you can rent audiobooks from your library for free. Also, if you search up a particular book on YouTube, for example here, Crush It by Gary Vee, great book on content. You can watch it, listen to it for free on YouTube. Now I pay for Audible. I also have a Kindle now, which has been a game changer. And also I consume lots of YouTube videos and a few podcasts. Now, I'll give you actionable tips on how to save time and money. So, how I try to think of it, I try to be efficient. If I can spend 50% less time studying to get the same result, that's amazing, right? Spend half the time sharpening the saw and the other time actually cutting. So I try to be efficient when studying. Sometimes I'd cook when listening to an audiobook or YouTube video. Or sometimes if I want to be mindful, nothing at all. Sometimes music if I had a long day. And I focus on the 80-20 rule, where 20% of my efforts reap 80% of results. So if I focus on that 20% that reaps the most returns, then I get a lot of returns. Another thing I do, I go to the supermarket and use click and collect. I don't waste time, wandering the supermarket, looking at all the food that I could buy, probably buying more than I need to. I don't see why everyone's just going in and spending time at the supermarket when click and collect is completely free when you spend $50 or more in New Zealand at Countdown. So that's what I do to save time. Doesn't cost anything. Why not? I also meal prep, so I cook once a week for the entire week, put half in the freezer, put it into little containers. It just saves time, saves money as well. I also like this idea by Naval Ravikant, the book, The Almanac of Naval Ravikant, where Eric Jorgensen, I believe, compiled a lot of Naval's teachings into a book. And that book kind of changed my life in terms of my mindset. In the book, there's an idea of an aspirational hourly rate where I aspire to make, say, $1,000 an hour, say, and then everything I can outsource less than $1,000, it makes sense for me to outsource. So if I can get someone to do laundry for me, say my flatmate, and I pay him $50 to do my laundry, and laundry takes an hour, it makes sense because I can make $1,000 in that hour instead of doing something mundane like laundry if I don't get any value out of doing laundry at all. So if you can outsource for less than your aspirational hourly rate, outsource. So I really like the idea. And then also, I think about cost per use as to absolute cost. For example, if I buy a jacket for $10 and I only expect to wear it once, it's $10 per cost. Whereas if I pay, say, $20 for a jacket, but I can use it like, say, 5 times, it makes more sense to spend more on the jacket because the cost per use is less, even though the actual the amount that I have to pay for the jacket is more. You know what I mean? So that's absolute cost versus relative cost per use. And then I also cut my own hair, as you can see, super fresh. So I cut my hair. It's $30 per haircut around. It's around there. And if I cut my hair 12 times a year, that's $360. And I've been doing this for, 7 years? So 7 years, it's a few grand. So I learned to cut my own hair. And then obviously, people say measure success not by what you've achieved, but what you have to sacrifice to get there. I don't really look at these as sacrifices because these are all conscious decisions that I've chose, that I could live this life if I really wanted to, but I chose not to. So I barely go out to parties. I barely do what most people consider fun. I barely hang out unless there's a reason to. It serves a reason. And I barely eat out, especially during my 2nd and 3rd year. 5th year, I was a bit more, eat out a bit more. But it's not like I don't have fun. I have fun, going to the gym and training martial arts and having a yarn with my boy about some philosophy topic or filming my boys in the gym. These are all fun, and I try to limit the amount of distractions away from my higher goals. So that's pretty much what I do, boys, in terms of what I do to try to balance everything. I know balancing everything's not the easiest thing to do. I understand. You got your personal life on top of your career, on top of, expectations of everyone, and you want to keep your health and your mental and physical health in check. It's a lot at times. But yeah, I hope that was helpful. I tried to make this as actionable as possible. So see you in the next one, boys.